After an 11-hour flight with a stop to Portugal in between, my STC group for the Venetian Empire landed in Rome at 11:30 a.m. We headed straight for our hotel that was located only a few blocks away from the Vatican. That same day, we chose to explore the surroundings that would be around us for the next 4 days and found breathtaking views. The next day, we headed to Vatican City, which is actually considered to be its own country. Due to its size, we marveled in its beauty. We were also able to see the Sistine Chapel and see the hard work that Michelangelo imposed towards his paintings. When in Rome, we also could not leave without visiting the Colosseum and the other ruins that were nearby. Our tour guide explained to us the extensive and rich history of the very land we were fortunate enough to step on. We then hopped on a train to get to Venice, the famous city on water. Upon getting there, we met a local who the group would learn to love and learn from, Giorgio. To get to our hotel, we hopped on one of the first vaporettos, otherwise known as a water bus, we would take in our time spent there. People in Venice only get around with that and walking due to the lack of cars. In our week in Venice, we also met Stefano. He's an architect that held seminars for us to learn about the Venetian Empire, as well as the architecture that Venice is so known for. They were held in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we would get to see the very things we learned about, but in person. The Byzantine, Gothic, and Renaissance eras could all be observed as we walked through Piazza San Marco, or even through small alleys. We also got the chance to visit the other islands of Venice. One day, we had the opportunity to spend the day on a boat, while also feasting on freshly caught seafood that was prepared just for us. The destination was Murano and Burano, one island known for its glassblowing and the other known for its lace and bright, colorful landscape. In Murano, we were able to witness firsthand the making of their famous glass. After that, it was finally time to meet our host families in Trieste. My host mom was named Ileana Pernice, a welcoming woman who could not wait to share a piece of her country with me. Since Trieste is right on the border between Italy and Slovenia, we were able to travel to Slovenia to visit Predjama Castle, a castle that was connected to its own set of caves. Though we were with our host families for most of that week, we were able to meet with the group in the beginning of each day. We went to Lake Bled, a beautiful glacial lake with water bluer than I've ever seen, which was also located in Slovenia. We, of course, took a swim. The next day called for some authentic cooking classes. Italy, an Italian marketplace that could also be found here in New York City, took the liberty of showing us how to make pasta. As a group, we worked together to tediously hand-make all the strips of pasta and then make the sauce that would complete everything. We then sat down to eat the very food we just spent hours making. Our last day in Trieste called for a trip to Miramare Castle, located on the seashore of Trieste. It's also a natural reserve, which causes the views of the water and its beaches to look amazing. Once we said our goodbyes and thanks to our host families, we headed to Slovenia once again. This time, we went to Piran, a small city next to the seashore that used to be under Venetian rule. With that in mind, its resemblance to Venice was uncanny. Crossing the border yet again, we arrived in Croatia. Our first stop was a family farm that treated us to an authentic lunch. We also met our tour guide who showed us the tourist spots and hidden gems within Robinho. This was another city that worked under the Venetian Empire, and the architecture made that influence very clear. We took yet another trip to a farm in Croatia where they showed us how they made their own cheese. We were also fortunate enough to try it along with a very good meal to close off our experiences in Croatia. We also got back in time to watch a beautiful sunset. Also, because of all the time we spent together, my friends and I became very close, and we made relationships and bonds that would last a lifetime. Our last day was spent in Venice, where we would later board a plane and land in JFK Airport. We were able to use the money we all saved up for a pleasant and totally worth it ride on a gondola. The rest of the day was used to shop around for last-minute souvenirs and food tasting before we said goodbye to the city on water. At the airport in Portugal, we wrapped up the end of our program by making a web with yarn, showing how much the group has connected in the short 3 weeks that we've known each other. After the heartwarming closing, we boarded our last flight with the final destination of JFK Airport in New York City, right where we started.